Okay, now we've drawn in our roof and our walls and columns. The next thing we need to do is to modify the interior space of our drawing of our building. So navigate back to ground floor or you double up here to go back to ground floor. We want to put in our partition walls here, put in some accessories, some beds and maybe kitchen accessories and so on. Okay, let's first put the partition walls in. So the first thing we need to do is to define where the partition wall will start and where it would end. Remember, we always do this using our guidelines. So to do that, pick up a guideline and place it at the internal core of the exterior wall on the right. Now we'll move this guideline 2.4 meters towards the left, hit enter. Repeat the same, pick a guideline and place at the inner core of the exterior wall. Move it 1 meter downwards, hit enter. So this is where the guideline for our partition walls. So the next thing we need to do is now to set out the parameters or the characteristics of the partition wall. Double click on wall 2, open the settings for the wall 2. You want it to be linked to the story above. That is fine. And for the offset to the top offset, let's give it 4 meters. Let's leave this as minus 0.1. The home story is still ground floor. Composites. But the composite we'll choose now will be interior stored 140 insulated, and that it is here. So in this case, we're using the composite that has been created by default in ArchiCAD. Floor plan and settings, floor plan display settings, floor plan and sections. We want it to be all relevant stories, projected with overhead, and tire elements. Okay, now let's go down to model and we'll override the model. Click on the top surface and let's change this to paint glossy white. Let's leave the edge surface as it is and let's override the bottom surface. Let's override it also to paint glossy white. Awesome. In classification and properties, this is the second wall we're creating, so let it be wall 002. It's not load bearing because it's just a partition wall, so we change it to non-load bearing and it's interior. For layers, let's leave it as interior partition. We don't have the layer for it, so we'll need to create a new layer as usual for that. So to do that, just say OK. Go to Document, Layers, Layer Model, View, and we'll create a new one and we'll call it Interior Partition. Say OK and then say OK here. Now let's go back to the wall settings that we are defining and then make sure this is still the right thing that we have, and let's give this interior partition. There it is. Awesome. And then just click OK. So next thing we need to do is to place, we need to draw now our walls on the guidelines that we have here. So start anywhere, you can either start down or you start horizontally, whichever way you want. So click the first one. Now you can see my wall is on the rectangular geometry method, so I'll need to change that. Go up to geometry method and choose the single, this one, the first one. When you click on it, you can see it changes to single. Okay, so you bring it down. You might want to hold on shift to make sure it stays straight. If you hold on shift on your keyboard, you can see it stays straight. Or you can just follow the guideline down and place it at the next to link up with the next wall. And just click to place the wall. That's the first partition wall. We place the second partition wall too, the same way, horizontally, and click. So now we have two partition walls here. Let's go to 3D and see what the wall that we have created. Okay, if it's not showing, go to documents because we can't find it. Layers, show all layers, and our partition walls have come up. Now you can see the partition walls are shooting out above the roof, and that shouldn't be. So what we have to do is now to trim this wall to be associated with the roof. So select the walls, select the partition walls, click, use shift to click on the second one to select it. Choose the trim elements to roof. Just like we did before, select the roof you want to trim it to, and then choose the part that you want to keep. And the partition wall, that is the parts obtruding out of the roof, would have been cut off. So this is how it looks, and that is our partition wall added. Awesome.